Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here. Well, actually, before I do that, let me take my headset off first. Okay, that's better. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about something. I'm not really going to be like doing a game and all that. I was thinking about it, but it's kind of a little later in the day. I mean, as this game is being filmed, it's 8:45 p.m. Eastern time here. So I've been doing like a lot of all-time team builds and stuff, to get that finished. So now I wanted to do this video. This is going to be a video about the 2025 Baltimore Orioles. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do the rest of the teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees, and all that. I mean, I could, potentially, but we will see about it. I mean, it may take up too much, but we're going to pretty much see about this. But anyway, here we go. So we're going to start with the lineup for the Baltimore Orioles, like how it's pretty much looking. Now, of course, this is the roster, and these are the cards that they've pretty much used. Now, a lot of flashbacks, and of course, I have the players that they have acquired, onto the team and stuff. So here we go. So this is my potential lineup for the Orioles for 2025. Now, I know a lot are going to probably disagree about it, but here we go. So first, I have Cedric Mullins leading off in the number one spot in center field. Now, you could change it up and you could put Jordan Westburg in the leadoff spot at second base. I mean, it is a possibility too as well. But I really like Cedric Mullins leading off a lot of times because it always reminded me of Brady Anderson when he would lead off in center field. I mean, he did hit in the number 2 hole a lot of times when Roberto Alomar was here, and he probably did in 96 and 97. But still, I really think that Cedric Mullins should be leading off. I always liked him in that spot. He did it a lot in 2021. He had that 30-30 season, I think, where he had like 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases. And I think Cedric Mullins can put together another really good season. But even though Cedric did not do all that great in 2024, but I wouldn't say it was like the worst or anything like that in his career. I mean, I think really, despite he did bat 234 in the season, and his career average is not great. But, I mean, you have to admit, the guy is fun to watch. I mean, look what he did this year. He hit some walk-off homers, but the biggest one of them all was when he hit that walk-off hit against the New York Yankees. I was coming home from work. My mom and stepdad were picking me up. We were listening to it on the radio, but I had it on my phone, and I was screaming because the Orioles wound up winning when Cedric Mullins hit the walk-off hit. And Matt Vasgersian was doing the commentary because it was on a different station, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, "The Orioles are gonna win! Oh my! Party at Said!" At Club Said. Party at Club Said. And Craig Kimbrell, who blew the save, unfortunately, came out and got the win and came out to hug Cedric Mullins, and that was probably the best feeling because he was like running right out to him because he knew that he blew the game, and that was like his third or fifth blown save. And yeah, the Orioles wound up releasing Craig Kimbrell after that, and they decided just to eat the contract because it was only a 1-year deal, thank God. Because a lot of times when we sign people to 1-year contracts, either we keep them and then we wound up losing them the next year because they had a really good season with us, like Nelson Cruz, for example. But that's another story. And yeah, and then another one is we signed him for 1 year, like Vladimir Guerrero Senior or Vladimir Guerrero. He plays one season with us, and then he pretty much retires the next season in 2012. He almost did sign a minor league contract with the Toronto Blue Jays, but he did not. He pretty much retired. But Cedric Mullins, yes, he's been a favorite, since 2021. I mean, he took over for Adam Jones, the guy who played for the Orioles from 2007, or no, yeah, wait a minute, no, I was right. From 2008, to 2018. Yeah, he was acquired in the trade in late 2007 for Eric Bedard when he left the Seattle Mariners. But anyway, now Cedric, yeah, again, he had some pretty big shoes to fill, and pretty much from his 2021 season, his numbers went down. He had 175 hits that year with 37 doubles and 30 home runs, and he stole bases, I think, as well, too. He had 30 in 2021, then 34 in 2022, and 32 in 2024. He was injured in 2023, so I don't really know who got playing time, mostly in center field that time, but still, I think Jorge Mateo did it as well. And Mateo also did play a little bit of center field in 2024. But anywho, so again, Cedric Mullins, I think, should be leading off in center field. Then at second base, Jordan Westburg. Now, some people will probably put him down a little bit lower, but Jordan Westburg has really been actually a pretty big surprise, I think. I think he started a little bit at third base as well, too, but he wound up, doing mostly second base. I mean, this guy really has actually done pretty well, and he was actually named an All-Star for the Texas All-Star game. He finished the season with a .264 average, which isn't great, but he had 18 homers and 63 RBIs, which I think is pretty good. And I think this guy will definitely put up some more numbers. I can see him hitting at least 23 or 24 home runs with us. I mean, Jonathan Scope, who's always been our second baseman for years, and I think Westburg can probably do, I'm going to say, a better job than him. I'm going to really say that. I mean, that may be, a big statement, but I really think he can. Now, of course, we go on to the next one, and that is the shortstop, Gunnar Henderson. So what can I say about this kid? I mean, this kid was pretty impressive. I mean, the kid is only 22 years of age. Now, of course, this reminds me of the player we had before, and he was a young star. But to me, he wound up being pretty much a jerk. And that was, of course, Manny Machado. I mean, Machado got off to a really good start, but then he started getting really cocky and stuff, But I don't see that with Gunnar Henderson, Henderson has, good positive attitude. He likes to joke around and stuff. Now, I'm sure Machado did that, but all I saw was cockiness, All I saw was just him, being a baby and all that. I'm just like, dude, it's a game, simmer down, start, coming around, and be a better player and show some more respect. I mean, seriously, but Gunnar Henderson is fun to watch. He has got a beautiful swing, and he has now set the record for the most home runs by a shortstop in a season with 37. The record was set by Cal Ripken Jr. in 1991 with 34. And yes, that is pretty incredible, for somebody to do that. And of course, Cal is really happy about that too. I mean, it's good to see, him showing very much appreciation for it. I mean, all legends, or athletes would do that too. I mean, but of course, Cal was always my favorite growing up, and Gunnar is definitely one of my favorites to watch too. And I can definitely see him probably winning an MVP. He finished, I think, third or fourth or something in the MVP vote for 2024. And, of course, it went to Aaron Judge, no surprise. And Bobby Witt of the Kansas City Royals, or Bobby Witt Jr., finished second place. But Gunnar still did really well. He batted .281 with 37 homers, 92 RBIs, and stole 21 bases. And, yeah, I mean, this kid is pretty incredible right now. I mean, I know a lot of people right now are probably admiring him too. He did enter the home run derby, but even though he didn't really do all that spectacular, but he had a Scooby-Doo baseball bat, and even his Scooby-Doo impression was spot on. I'm not going to do imitation that he did, but it was pretty funny. You'll have to look it up on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's there. And, of course, he won the Rookie of the Year award from last year. He played second base, shortstop, and third base. He does have a secondary position of first base, but I don't really think that he can play that position. Of course, he's from Alabama, and it says, where he's from. But still, I mean, this kid is really something, And I can see him winning a future MVP award. And, yeah, I mean, I really hope that he stays healthy, too. I mean, same with the rest of the team. But there you go. Let's move on. Now, the next one is the guy that is supposedly and potentially taking the spot of the Oriole that has been here probably since 2017 or 18, and we don't know if he's going to return. It's not looking like a possibility right now, but this is the guy, and his name is Tyler O'Neill. and he is a former player for the Boston Red Sox. And he's also played for the St. Louis Cardinals as well. He hit 34 home runs for them in 2021, and he batted .286, which isn't bad, but he struck out 168 times, which is a lot. Now, last year with the Boston Red Sox, he actually did all right, but the problem was his average again. So last year with the Red Sox, he batted .241 with 31 homers and 61 RBIs. And the Orioles wound up signing him to a 3-year contract. I don't remember for how much. I don't think it was like $100 million or something like that. But of course, that was a surprise from everybody. And this guy is actually a Canadian, as it says. He's from Canada. But he does look actually like, something to watch. Even though it is not Anthony Santander, and Santander could be going to another team. But I'm hearing rumors that he could return to the Orioles like on a 2-year contract or something like that, but I personally don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be like a 4-year contract, but with somebody else. I'm hoping not the Yankees or the Mets, but yeah, Santander, is another story, but he has put up some good numbers for the Orioles, but his average has been low too because of strikeouts. But Tyler O'Neill, I'm hoping, he does really well, and I'm sure people are looking forward to seeing him play, but there's probably some that are not too thrilled about it. It could be controversial, but I personally don't think so. I just hope, that he does really well. I really do. Next one is the Milkman, and the reason we say that is because of his last name. So this is Colton Cowser. Now, of course, this is the lineup that I'm predicting, like Cedric Mullins, Jordan Westburg, Gunnar Henderson, Tyler O'Neill, then Colton Cowser, Ryan Mountcastle, Adley Rutschman, Kobe Mayo, and Jackson Holliday. Now, Colton Cowser, he actually had a pretty good season. He was in the running for the Rookie of the Year award, and it would have been nice to have 2 back-to-back Orioles win the award. Gunnar Henderson won it in 2023, but this year it went to Luis Gil, I believe, of the New York Yankees. Colton Cowser missed it by a few votes, and I was pretty disappointed about that one. But Cowser had a good season. He batted .242, which wasn't all that great, but he had 24 homers and 69 RBIs, and he did exceptionally well. Just the only thing is the average. He did strike out a good amount of times. But he is a favorite right now. A lot of people are loving him. I am too. He's doing really good, and I hope he has a really good season. I mean, this guy can also play center field as well too, because they are saying that he may play center field instead of Cedric. And I'm like, no, I don't think Cedric Mullins is going to be on the bench, all that time. I think he's going to get playing time. Some may disagree, but this is basically a prediction. So there you go. Now here is Ryan Mountcastle. Now this is the only card we have of Ryan Mountcastle, and yeah, he's a 76 silver, but we don't have any flashbacks, but still, he is potentially, to be the first baseman. Now, I'm hearing rumors that the Orioles may trade him. They may trade him and Dean Kramer, another pitcher of ours, to the Seattle Mariners for pitcher Luis Castillo, which could be a possibility. But Mountcastle, he has done pretty much all right. He finished the season .271, which is not a bad average, with 13 homers and 63 RBIs, but he played in 124 games, but his best season was probably 2021 when he smacked 33 home runs, which is the most by an Orioles rookie. Cal Ripken in 1982 slugged like 20-some home runs, but Mountcastle in his second year with the Orioles slugged 33 home runs and batted .255, and he became the first Oriole in Orioles history to hit that many home runs in his rookie season. And yeah, him and Gunnar Henderson, breaking some of Cal Ripken's records is pretty impressive. But like I said, it would be a shame, to see Mountcastle go. But if they do it, it is what it is. And if he leaves, then taking over first base would probably be Ryan O'Hearn. It could possibly be him, or unless the Orioles sign somebody in free agency. But we shall see. Now the next one is Adley Rutschman. Now, I know Adley Rutschman has been hitting in the number 2 hole a lot of times, But I saw Adley Rushman had been getting moved down in the hole. Like, mostly he was batting in number 5 and 6 hole. I have him at number 7, as I'm thinking that's where they might put him. Now, of course, they are saying that they should trade Adley Rushman because of the new catcher, Samuel Basallo, who I think is from the Dominican Republic, and he's 21, I think, and he's another up-and-coming rookie. But pretty much Adley is still a fan favorite. Yes, he got off to a good start. Then he struggled. He finished the season batting .250 with 19 homers and 79 RBIs. In 2023, Adley played in 154 games and had 163 hits, along with 20 home runs and 80 RBIs, which is pretty impressive. And he batted .277. He won a Silver Slugger as well, as you see there, from 2023. 2022, he finally got the call up, which was very long overdue. He should have played in 2021 with Baltimore, but instead, I think he had an injury in 2021, but 2022, he finally got the call, but he really should have made the opening day roster, and people are really disappointed about that. So, of course, yeah, 2023 was his best season, but I am pretty much saying I think Adley is going to bounce back. I don't see him getting traded. If they do that, that's going to be a really stupid move, because if you do that, then you're going to have to go to Gary Sanchez as your backup. Or if they decide to call up Samuel Basallo. But right now, I don't think Adley Rushman is going anywhere. I really think he's going to bounce back and he's going to put up some good numbers. I know a lot of people thought Matt Wieters was going to do that thing, but of course Matt Wieters, was an all-star in 2011, 2012, 2014, and 2016. I think he won a few Gold Gloves too. He's a 4-time all-star. Adley so far has been a 2-time all-star, I think, with 2023 he was in Seattle, and 2024 he was in Texas. And I see him being an all-star again. I definitely think it's going to happen. I mean, he's definitely one of the best catchers to watch in the game. So, all right, let's move on. Now, the next one, this has probably got some question marks. This is Kobe Mayo. Now, Kobe Mayo is another person that the Orioles called up, and they thought he was going to do really well. But, however, he didn't really put up the best numbers. He got off to a really, really rotten start. Now, him and Heston Kjerstad, this guy, will probably get playing time at DH, or some of them, or Kjerstad might play right field, and Tyler O'Neill will be the designated hitter, like if a lefty is pitching or something. Well, if a lefty is pitching, then Kjerstad will not hit because he's left-handed. And yes, you do see there's a lot of lefties in this lineup, but if they get rid of Mullins in that spot, then they could possibly put Jorge Mateo in center field because he had a bad injury, and he unfortunately missed, the rest of the season, but he will pretty much be back. And Kobe Mayo, like I said, I think he'll play designated hitter, like if a lefty is pitching, and then if a lefty is not pitching, then Kjerstad will be the right fielder, and Tyler O'Neill will be the designated hitter. I think personally something like that. And last but not least, Jackson Holliday. So, of course, this kid, because he is a kid, because this card here, this is when he was 20. And, of course, when the Orioles made the postseason, I found out on there that Jackson Holliday, of course, was not celebrating with the team because there was a bunch of alcohol in there. And, of course, a lot of champagne, I'm sure wine and beer. And, of course, I'm saying to myself, oh, come on, let Holliday, celebrate with them. That's ridiculous. But pretty much I think he did. But when they showed a picture of him and showed him with some kind of drink or whatever, and it wasn't an alcohol drink, it said bird bath water or something like that. And I'm like, oh, come on. I mean, I personally think they should let him drink. I mean, there's millions of people that have, gotten their first drink under the age of 21, but I guess they just didn't want to do it, because they would have gotten him in trouble. But I personally don't think so. But still, this kid, got off to a rough start. It took him a while to get his first hit, and took him an even longer time to get his first home run, which, happened in the month of, I want to say it was late June or something, or early July. I can't really remember, but I remember I was at work at that time, or maybe it was late July. I was, working, and I was getting alerts on my phone, and I saw that Jackson Holiday hit a grand slam, and I'm like, oh my God. And I was like so thrilled. I told one of my friends at work, and he couldn't believe it either. And I'm like, finally, he's got his first home run. It's a grand slam. And he took a curtain calling thing, like he tipped his hat to the crowd and stuff or whatever. And yeah, that was pretty incredible. And I think this kid, is going to put up some good numbers. I think, and he also, I think, will be starting at third base. But Jorge Mateo will probably get some playing time too if a left-hander's pitching. I don't think he's going to, play a lot of times against lefties. But still, I mean, I really think, this kid, again, is going to do pretty impressive. He's still going to put up some good numbers. A lot of people are not, like, having, a lot of confidence and stuff, but I think a lot of people should build that confidence up, and think positive, about these Orioles, okay? But everybody is different. But let's move on now to the pitching. Now, of course, this one is tough, unfortunately, because of the fact that there are names on the free agent marker still. Excuse me. There are names in the free agency, and, of course, the biggest one of them all was losing Corbin Burnes. So Corbin Burnes will be going to the Arizona Diamondbacks on a 4-year contract worth like over $100 million, I think, or something like that, or 6-year contract. I don't remember how much. But I'm glad, he's going to a team like that. I'm glad it's not the Yankees or the Red Sox, thank God, or even the Mets. Excuse me. But right now, as it looks, the ace for the Orioles is going to be probably this guy, and that's Grayson Rodriguez. So, yeah, I know some people are probably not too thrilled about him, being the ace. G-Rod, pretty much, or Gray Rod. Well, I think it's G-Rod, we're going to call him. But he got off to a rough start last year, but this year, or 2024, excuse me, he actually, in 2023, he struggled, but 2024, he did much better. He wound up finishing the season, I want to say it was 13-4. If I can find his name, there it is. I could not find him. Yeah, he was 13-4, and he's made one postseason appearance, which is in 2023. He didn't do it this year because he was injured, unfortunately. He ended the season with an injury. I think, personally, it's the pitch clock, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. Now, again, Grayson was 13-4 in 20 games pitched. And, of course, he started all of them. And his ERA was 3.86, which is a little bit high, but not terrible. And he pitched 116.2 innings, and he struck out 130 batters. Now, think about it. If he would have pitched, the entire season and not got injured, he probably would have won close to 20 games. And Corbin Burnes, I think, wound up finishing the season 14-9 with Baltimore. I can't remember exactly, but I just want to get the roster up really quickly if I could, and it'll show me like how Corbin, did with us. And yeah, it's very disappointing, for him to go. We were hoping he would stay. But Corbin Burnes, of course, with the Orioles was 15-9, and his ERA was 2.92 in 194.1 innings pitched and struck out 181 batters. And yeah, I mean, him, signing with the Diamondbacks, I mean, it's his choice, but I really thought that he would stay with us. But I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he does really, really well and gets a World Series ring, too. Just sorry, he couldn't really do it with us, I mean, we tried our best in the playoffs against the Royals, but, yeah. But anyway, Grayson Rodriguez is likely going to be the ace. For the number 2, now, this one is a little bit questionable, it could be either this guy or the other, but I'm going to go with this guy, Zach Eflin, who came over from the Tampa Bay Rays. And Zach Eflin got off to a little bit of a rough start with the Rays. He wound up with the Rays. Eflin was 5-7, and ERA was 4.09. But when he came to Baltimore, he pitched in 9 games and started 9, and he was 5-2 with Baltimore, and a 2.60 ERA, and that is pretty darn good. And he struck out 47, and Yeah, so he did really well. Now, again, he could be either the number 2 or number 3 starter, depending if it's him or this guy. And yes, it's not the live series of him, but I just figure I'd go with this one, Charlie Morton. And yes, I'm aware of his age, and I know everybody is not too thrilled about us signing this guy. Now, again, he's a starting pitcher, and he's actually done pretty well. I mean, his career ERA, maybe high or something, or, well, looking at here, yeah, it's 4.01, but he's got over 2,000 career strikeouts. I've seen a lot of negativity that people are doing, saying about this guy, and I personally think, people need to give this guy a chance. I mean, it's probably just going to only be 1 year, well, it is a 1-year contract pretty much. We didn't acquire him in a trade or anything, but he will most likely be the number 2 or 3 starter for us as long as he stays healthy. He's got a lot of pitch selections. I mean, same with Grayson Rodriguez and Zach Eflin, but I'm actually pretty thrilled about this. I like Charlie Morton. He's won a World Series ring, I think, I thought he did with the Astros and the Braves or something, or I can't really remember exactly. But he's been around a pretty good while, and everybody's like, oh, Mike Elias, shouldn't have done this or whatever, but it's his choice. If you think you can do a better job, you tell him, you write to him, email him, or call him and tell him, I want to be, the general manager or whatever. But personally, I don't think you're going to do a better job than him. Now let's get out of that and move on. Let's forget all that. Next one is Albert Suarez. And you're probably saying, who's Albert Suarez? Well, this guy came out of nowhere. This guy pretty much had not pitched in a good while. The last time he pitched was 2017. Yeah, I know that's hard to believe. But this guy pitched for the Orioles. He pitched in 32 games. He started 24. He finished the season 9-7 with a 3.70 ERA, which is a little bit high, but he did really well. Struck out 108 batters and walked 43. But I think that's pretty impressive, for somebody like him. Or he could be pretty much a long relief pitcher, like in case if the Orioles do sign another pitcher. Now, there are rumors, if they get Luis Castillo, which I think would be good, and they could probably bring back former Oriole Jack Flaherty. I know a lot of people are not really too happy about that, but it is a possibility. It really is. I mean, yeah, he didn't do so good with Baltimore, but he did great with the Dodgers, and if he returns to Baltimore, who knows, he might do pretty good. Like I said, a lot of these fans need to be more positive, and I'm seeing a lot of negativity with a lot of these Oriole fans. I see people saying like, oh, I hope we sign Flaherty, I hope he does good if, we sign him, and I see people saying, oh, I don't want to sign Flaherty again, this is a dumpster fire, I don't like that. I mean, I really do not like that, the way that these Oriole fans are being. I mean, I've been an Oriole fan, since the early 90s, and thanks to my grandfather, for getting me into them and taking me to play baseball, which I thank him very much for doing, But I will admit, I have been, there was a time when I was not a fan of the Orioles because they were struggling a lot, but I got back on the bandwagon, or I got back to liking the team because of the fact that my grandfather, told me, that, the Orioles are struggling and all that. If you want to be a fan of them still, you can, or if you don't want to, that's fine as well too. But I figured it was the wrong thing to do, not to like them anymore, because I started doing that in 2006 and 7. Because at that time, I was just, so fed up with them. I was just like, okay, I'm tired of losing, I hate this. This has been going on since 1998. We haven't been to the playoffs, since 1997, and something just really needed to stop. And finally it did in 2012 when we had a winning season and went to the playoffs for the first time. But still, I'm sorry for all the negativity, once again. I'm just disappointed, in these Oriole fans, how they're being, but it's tough, and I'm sorry, to admit that from them years from 2006 to 2008 that I did that and was just tired, of the Orioles losing. But again, my apologies once again. So let's move on. So, like we said about this guy, Albert Suarez, he will most likely either be a starter or long relief. Let's move on. And the number 5 now, again, this is pretty much a prediction. So it could be this guy, Dean Kramer, or it could be either Luis Castillo or Jack Flaherty, or both of them. Or if they do wind up getting them, then these two, well, probably, Luis Castillo could possibly be the 5 starter, and the number 4 starter will be Jack Flaherty. Or they could move Charlie Morton to the number 4 hole, and then Flaherty will be number 3 or Luis Castillo. But most likely it'll be Flaherty and Castillo will be number 4, and whoever will be number 5. It could be Charlie Morton, but I don't think he's going to be a relief pitcher. And pretty much there you go. But Dean Kramer struggled a little bit in the season. I mean, he is still with the team, but there is a possibility he will get traded. He was 8-10 with a 4.10 ERA and struck out 123 batters and pitched 24 games. He was injured. He actually was doing well in his last 7 games. He was 3-1 with a 3.20 ERA. And a lot of walks, though, 13 and 39 strikeouts. But who knows? If they keep him, he could probably, do pretty good. But we shall see. But, yeah, but I do like Dean Kramer. I do. But we shall see, what the Orioles shall do. But we also do have other candidates like Chase McDermott, who could be a possibility, if the Orioles don't sign any of them, if they don't sign Jack Flaherty or get Luis Castillo. Then we got Cade Povich, who is a lefty, and we do need lefties in the rotation. We don't need a lot of righties. And another candidate is Trevor Rogers. This guy absolutely stunk, and the Orioles need to get rid of him. They need to release him. There's no reason for Trevor Rogers to still be on the roster. But I'm just saying, because I thought he really stunk. And now for the bullpen. Now, I'm not going to go on about all of them because there's a lot of names on here and stuff. But I'm just going to go through the main ones. So the big one is the Mountain, Felix Bautista. Now, Bautista unfortunately missed all of this year, all of 2024, because of Tommy John surgery. He left 2023 with an injury, and it was his elbow, and everybody was like, oh no, because we knew something was wrong. But pretty much, he missed all of the season, and he's now scheduled to return in 2025. Now, people are saying it's probably going to be a little bit later in 2025, but I'm like, no. He was supposed to return around the month of September, but the Orioles did not want to risk it, and pretty much just said, well, we'll wait till when the spring training begins, and hopefully he'll get some pitching time in there, and he'll probably do the best he can. Now we also have Sir Anthony Dominguez, who pretty much impressed the Orioles. He came over in a trade for Orioles outfielder Austin Hayes. Now Austin Hayes is still a free agent, and he probably will not be back with the Orioles again. I kind of would like to see him come back because he's always been a favorite. And he was an all-star in 2023. But personally, I think Sir Anthony Dominguez has done really good for us once again. And yeah, it's not the other card, it's this live series one, but it's alright. But yeah, I mean, he will probably most likely be the setup man, or if Bautista is not ready to close games, and then most likely Dominguez will be closing games instead of him, for a little bit. Because I think, I heard people saying they don't want to overdo it with Bautista. But anyway, we also have Yennier Cano, Yennier, something like that. I think it's pronounced Yennier. Yennier Cano with that freaking sinker and stuff, that slurve. I mean, he got off to a pretty good start. But then after that, he just kind of struggled a little bit too. But he's got a nasty delivery, and he's pretty much a good setup man, with Cano, Dominguez, and Bautista. I mean, it looks pretty good. But however, we have more. We have Andrew Kittredge, something like that, whatever the name is pronounced. And this guy actually came from the St. Louis Cardinals. And this guy, is actually pretty good. I mean, I am pretty thrilled about them getting him. He pitched in 74 games, and he was 5-5 with a 2.80 ERA, which is actually pretty good. He only has a sinker, a slider, and a four-seam fastball, but I am pretty thrilled about them. He may be 34, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, age is just a number, and I think he did pitch a little bit in the postseason too, or he did for somebody. I don't know if it was for St. Louis or whoever he pitched in the. He did in 2023 with Tampa Bay in the wild card, it says, and the division, and never in the league championship or the World Series. So yeah, he has playoff experience. He's been with Tampa Bay, but there you go. And then we also got Cionel Perez, a lefty who did pretty well for the Orioles, and I like this. I think he can do pretty well. I mean, he's a good lefty. I like the way he pitches. But here is Gregory Soto. Now, this guy came from Philadelphia. I think he also came with Sir Anthony Dominguez for Austin Hayes, or I don't know if the Orioles traded. I think they traded just Austin Hayes for Sir Anthony Dominguez. I don't know if they traded for both of them. I think they did. I mean, I don't personally know, but Gregory Soto got off to a very rough start with us. He really did. I mean, he unfortunately was giving up a lot too, but he did finish the season 3-5 with a 4.42 ERA and struck out 65. But with Philadelphia, he was struggling, and with Baltimore, he was 1-1. But a little bit later in the season, in the last 7 games, Gregory Soto was 1-0 with a 1.80 ERA and struck out 5. But in his last 15 games, he had a 1.50 ERA, and he pitched in 15 games, and he struck out 14, gave up only 2 runs and 10 hits, and only walked 2. So Gregory Soto was actually doing really, really good in his last 15 games. So this guy is probably going to be getting a start in the bullpen, for the Orioles once again, which I know a lot of people are surprised about, but yeah. And now for this one, Colin Selby. Now, I know it's probably a question mark, and it could be somebody else, instead of him. But there isn't really a lot. Danny Kalum is not with the Orioles anymore, because I just looked at the roster. He's not on there. But other candidates could be Jacob Webb or Brian Baker, or maybe even Matt Bowman. This guy could possibly. But the others, Brooks Kriske, I don't know if he's on the roster, and Birch Smith. I think he did a little bit of starting pitching too, but I personally don't think it's going to be them. I think Colin Selby pretty much might get it, because I think he did actually pretty well. And then Keegan Aiken, who could be the long relief pitcher, or it could be Suarez. Now, I also forgot to mention another person, Kyle Bradish. So Kyle Bradish, unfortunately, actually 2 names I forgot to mention. Kyle Bradish is not going to be able to pitch in the season. I mean, he's unfortunately recovering from Tommy John surgery, or some kind of injury. I think it was. But he has appeared in 1 postseason game. In the 2024 season, he pitched in 8 games, and he was 2-0 with a 2.75 ERA. He put up very good numbers in 2023. He struck out 53 and pitched 39.1 innings, but however, the injury ended his career. Now, if he was on the roster, he would probably be the number 3 starter, maybe, and Charlie Morton would go number 4, and then probably Suarez would be in the bullpen, or Kramer would be the number 5. So, yeah. But it is a shame about Kyle Bradish. And Tyler Wells, who has been doing starting pitching and long relief pitching with the Orioles. Now, personally, I prefer him as a long relief pitcher. Tyler Wells is recovering from an injury as well, too, and he will not be back till probably around June or July, I'm guessing. He finished the season in 2024 0-2 with a 5.87 ERA and 13 strikeouts and 15.1 innings pitched. And his whip was 1.37. Not really mentioning that and stuff. I don't really do that. But hopefully, he will make a recovery, and I'm hoping that he goes to long relief and not starting pitching. I just don't really like him in starting pitching. And another person I forgot to mention again, the new guy that the Orioles signed, Tomoyuki Sagano, or Sugano, whatever his name is. I'm not sure if he's a starting pitcher or a relief pitcher. I think he's a starter. But he could be one of the candidates as well, too, for these people as well, too. And I think he's going to be number 19 or something, or no, 23, I think, because they gave him a uniform number. I thought I saw it on Instagram or something. But yeah, I mean, and the other people, too. I know there's a lot others, too. Like, and also the Orioles acquired another person from the Los Angeles Angels, and that is Rowancy Contreras. I don't know how the first name is pronounced, but I know how the last name is. But he could be a candidate as well for the bullpen, as long as everybody stays healthy, too. But anyway, that's pretty much about it. That's all the people, for the Orioles roster for 2025. So, sorry, I went on about that and stuff. It took me some time, but I had to go through it. I had to go through most of the players, but sorry. But hope everybody enjoyed that. So, I'm going to wrap this up. So, thanks again for watching, everybody. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, please. Not a bad thing, a good thing. And you all take care. Thanks again for watching.